Hello, this is NACM Executive Elder Roger Niemeyer, bringing you a special interview with NACM member minister Dr. Larry Peabody. I met Dr. Peabody during my association with Bakke Graduate University some years ago when it was located in Seattle, Washington, which is now relocated to Texas. And Dr. Peabody was and still was a professor of the Theology at Work program and curriculum. Now that might pique your curiosity. Not a theology that works, but the theology of work. In our continuing efforts to draw on the expertise of NACM members to bring you unique ministry skills related trainings, courses to enhance your ministries to be even more fruitful, Dr. Peabody agreed to bring his years of experience in teaching through a course especially designed for our NACM member ministers called Equipping Workplace-Ready Disciples. And Dr. Peabody is here with me today and to share about this unique training program that can help you make fruit-bearing disciples out of those in your church or ministry who work. Hello, Dr. Peabody.
Hello, hello.
Thank you so much for your willingness to be here
and
bring your insights from your years.
It's a privilege to do this.
Yes, in both the business world and church leadership. To encourage our NACM member ministers. So I'd like to use some questions here and so you can share more about the course and your hopes for it.
Good.
See, the first question is, and I think, in a nutshell, how would you describe this course?
Well, altogether there are 12 lessons in the course, and each lesson is going to have probably some video, some reading, and some assignments, asking for interaction, and even interaction between participants.
Oh, yes.
And so, that's part of the course. One of the main purposes of the course is to explain what is theology of work, because I find that very few Christians have heard the term theology of work. Yes. I mean, we have theology of missions, we have theology of this and that, but very few have heard of theology of work. Yes. So I want to explain what that is and give an overview of theology of work. The other thing that I would be doing, especially for those who are pastors, is to suggest ways that the theology of work can be incorporated into the life of a congregation. So that's all kind of, I guess that's from 30,000 feet, that's the view of the course.
Excellent. Well, why do you think pastors and church leaders should take this training?
Well, that's a good question. Pastors, and I've been a pastor, but the life of a pastor, the work of a pastor is so far removed from the work of the people in the congregation. And when I say that, I mean pastors are dealing with sermon preparation, with counseling, with church administration, and just a host of other things that the working people in the congregation don't deal with at all. And so it's very easy and understandable for pastors to kind of lose focus on what's happening during the weekdays out there in the work world.
Yes.
So it's a lot of questions that Christians will have that go unanswered in the typical situation. For example, I'm a plumber. How do I offer up my work to the Lord? I'm an accountant. How do I really tell the truth in my work? Or I'm a this or that. I'm a barista. How do I offer my work as worship? Things like this.
Yes.
And let's say that I've got an automobile agency. I'm a Christian, and I own the agency. And let's say that I feel like I should go into some sort of higher calling, full-time Christian ministry. And what's the answer to that? So I think pastors need to be equipped with the theology of work so that they can answer from a broader perspective than than typically would be. You know, pastors also, in their work, they're dealing with Christians, or at least those who are interested in the faith.
Yeah.
By and large, that's pretty much it. In the work world, the working people are dealing mainly with non-Christians, and sometimes people who are opposed to or even hostile to the faith.
Yeah.
And so it's quite a different context that they're working in out there. And then for pastors, it's real easy to see the link between faith and their work. I mean, there's hardly any distance between their faith and their work.
Yeah.
For the working people, though, it's very difficult for them to see the connection. Now, how does this over here, my faith, how does this tie into my work? They seem to be worlds apart.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing there. And so that's why I hope that this course could help pastors to help their people to really connect their faith and their work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And what qualifies you to teach on this subject?
Well, I've had experience as an employee. I've had experience as a business owner, and I've had experience as a pastor,
Yes.
and multiple years in each one of those roles. I grew up on a farm over in eastern Washington State, and mainly asparagus. My dad was a strong Christian. He taught me the Word right from the time I could talk, had me memorizing Scripture. He taught me also to work, because we were on a farm.
Yes.
So I learned how to work hard. I went to Wheaton College when I was 18, clear back in Illinois. And when I went to college, I was convinced that I should be either a pastor or a missionary. And in my sophomore year, I began to have this inner whisper that turned into quite a pressure that the Lord didn't want me to do that. He wanted me to go into so-called secular work, where 99% of his people spend their weeks.
Yes.
And so I resisted that. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have my own way and be a pastor or a missionary, and the Lord insisted otherwise. And so I did then, and I went to work for the state of Washington, worked for 3 different agencies, the Highways Department, it was then called, the Traffic Safety Commission, and then the Department of Labor and Industries.
Yes.
And so I spent 11 years in
Wow.
basically as a writer for information officer for the state. And it was while I was working for Labor and Industries that I wrote my first book, Serving Christ in the Workplace, which is now, this is the new title. The original title was Secular Work is Full-Time Service. And so I completed that book when I was still working for the state. Then, after the 11 years were up, I began my own business of teaching business writing. I had seen so much terrible bureaucratic writing in the state. I thought there needs to be somehow to teach these poor people who need to write on their job, but they just don't see themselves as writers, how to make themselves clear on paper. So I did. I started my own seminar teaching teaching business writing. And I went for, 17 years altogether in that business, but in the middle of that 17 years, about 9 years in, our pastor asked me to plant a church. So we planted a church here in Lacey, Washington, and I pastored that church then for the next, 21 years altogether. And I retired in 2007, and after I retired, that's when I wrote my second book, Job Shadowing Daniel, which was a study of Daniel's career in Babylon. And so looking to Daniel as kind of a mentor or a workplace coach for Christians. And and then after that was finished, I went to at 70 years old, I went back to school, went to the Baki Graduate University, and wanted to get my degree so that I could teach theology of work. So I got my degree in 2012, the DMin in 2012, and for the next 8 years I taught theology of work for Baki Graduate University. Well, that's kind of a long answer to your question, but that's sort of the path God has led me on to prepare me to teach this course. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do a little reading here because this was not one I memorized too easily, but in one of the videos that you use in the course, Mark Green, who's with the London Institute for Contemporary Christianity, has said that the sacred-secular divide has had a devastating impact on two key areas of Christian life, our mission and our living. How has that gap between so-called sacred work and secular work devastated the mission of the church? How has it devastated our living?
Well, let me take those one at a time here. First of all, I believe Mark Green is right. It really has devastated the mission of the church. In a nutshell, as I understand the mission of the church, it's to make disciples.
Yes.
To make disciples who make disciples and so on.
Not just converts.
And not just converts. And church leaders, according to Ephesians 4, are to equip God's people for works of service, basically for their work. I like the way the United Bible Society's translation of this, preparing God's people for the work they must do. And I think that's exactly what needs to happen. But the so-called sacred secular divide has really messed that up, and it's prepared mainly. People are prepared mainly for serving in the church, the gathered church, rather than the scattered church out there in the workplace, and so workers need help. They desperately need help so that they can carry out the mission of the church. Yes. Otherwise, the mission, as Mark Green says, is devastated. You know, there are millions and millions of Christians with no kingdom of God reasons for getting up and going to work. So they sort of cobbled together their own reasons, made up often of the world's reasons for working, and some of their own making, and so we fail to make the gospel visible out there in the wider culture, in the work world. My mentor, Paul Stevens, who's written a whole lot on the theology of work, has written a book called the Gospel in Working Clothes. And I think that's really, we need to put the gospel into working clothes out there. So that's kind of how it's devastated our mission. But it's also devastated our living. You know, Jesus said that he came that we might have life to the full. The problem is that too many people live split-level lives. They go to church on Sunday and thoroughly enjoy the fellowship with people that they agree with and people that see the Lord the way they do. But then they have to go on Monday back into that work world where it's all different. And so often they pine for the weekends, they pine for vacations, and especially they pine for retirement. When many of them say, well, now I can really serve the Lord, you know, now that I'm retired.
I hear that a lot.
Well, it's too bad to waste a whole life like that. And, you know, so many see work as a necessary inconvenience, like bees at a picnic, you know. Nobody likes bees at a picnic, and so often people just don't like to be interrupted by work. So I'd say that the sacred secular divide has devastated both our mission and our living.
And I can't help think too, I know this is off script, but I can't, just as you're sharing that, it strikes me that it kind of causes laymen to minister by proxy, because my minister's doing that, our evangelist team is doing the work, and all we do is come to church, put our tithe in, or offerings, and that's about it.
Yeah, in fact, you use that word layman. I don't like that word layman. I
Oh.
don't find it in the New Testament.
Yes.
Uh,
They're laying too much.
yeah, it's, we are all priests. We are all full-time ministers for God. We
Yes.
should be.
Yeah.
But we need to be equipped for that. We need to be helped to see how to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you wrote another book, your more recent one, correct?
Oh, my recent book, and this is the one that's used in the course. This
Yeah.
one is called God Loves Your Work. And the subtitle of that is Discover Why He Sends You to Do What You Do.
Yes.
And so that's full of,
Well, what prompted you to write that one?
oh, what prompted me to write that book? Well, let me use the language of a dentist. A dentist is used to dealing with cavities, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I saw some cavities in this whole area of theology of work. Most books on the theology of work, it seems, have been written for business owners and entrepreneurs. Now, they need those books, and those are good books. I've got many in my library, but most people in a typical church are not business owners or entrepreneurs. Most are employees.
Yes.
And so I felt there was a need to write a book for the people, you might say, who were in the trenches doing the work.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, we need the other kind of book as well.
Sure.
But well, the people, the employees need their work. Second cavity that I saw is the cavity of hating work. And this is a kind of an American phenomena as well, and probably wider than America, all around the world. But I read something the other day from someone who I'll call her name Angela. This was online, and she was a Christian, totally frustrated because she thought this was just slave work, working for people who didn't know the Lord, and she saw no point in it at all. And she just was totally frustrated. Even gave an example. She said, "Well, James and Peter and John and those disciples, those early disciples, they left their work to follow Jesus." And she was trying to equate that with they were leaving their secular work to go into, to work that really mattered.
Yeah.
What she did not quote was what Paul said to the slaves in Colossae and Ephesus, that the people there, those slaves, were actually working for the Lord. They were serving the Lord in their work. And so she hadn't caught that vision, but she needed someone to help her see that.
Yes.
So, and then there's some people not only maybe they don't hate their work, but they love their work for the wrong reasons. They're loving their work for the world's reasons rather than kingdom reasons.
Yes.
And so this book, as I said, it provides several kingdom reasons for getting up and going to work. The other is the local church cavity, and here there's very little penetration of this faith at work movement into local churches. Now there's some exceptions. Tim Keller's church there in New York City was a great exception. He had a wonderful workplace program. But typically I would say the local church has not had very much, if any at all, emphasis on working and what that means. Very little teaching. So I wrote this book for pastors as well, to help them understand theology of work and the need for the training in that.
Yeah. Excellent. And then lastly, in each of the 12 lessons, and I've reviewed your course, I haven't dove into it, but I'm hoping to soon. But each of the 12 lessons includes a short animated, and they're really wonderful, animated videos. What led you to create those?
Well, much as I like to read books and write books, I have to admit to myself that these days there's a whole lot of people out there, and even among Christians, who don't read. They don't read books. And so I was thinking, well, I need to put something together that's short, but also captivating, because there's just loaded with graphics.
Yes.
And to try to present this message graphically as well as in words.
Yes.
And so that's one of the big reasons. And then I just even if people read books, I think sometimes it helps to see the message in kind of an offbeat form, in a way that we're not expecting.
Yes.
And it kind of catches us from another angle. And
Very
so
true.
this is kind of a playful medium
Yeah,
of getting the same truth across. Yeah.
it works well. It works well.
So all in all, that's kind of why I put this course together. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about this, and I'm hoping that many of our members will take advantage of this opportunity. So thank you for participating in this video to introduce your course. And NACM members, I hope you will go to the NACM website and go to courses, and you'll have our list of courses that are offered, and you'll see Dr. Peabody's course, Equipping Workplace Ready Disciples, in that list. There is a modest charge for the course, but it's very reasonable compared to the what you come away with. And so we hope this will be a training that will begin your journey as a ministry leader in discipling your working place church or ministry members to be impacting witnesses to Christ through their jobs and see their jobs in a whole new kingdom light. Well, thank you for viewing this video, and we hope to see you in the course. Thank you.